Welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. On today's show, we'll have our regular Selectmen's update for the meeting that happened on Wednesday, March 1st. We have Joe White from Ashland Community Theater coming and speaking with us about his next show. We have a quick arts update with the Boston Ballet, hosted by Christiana Greaves. We have an Around the Town tour, so stay with us and we'll bring you back with the Selectmen's update. It's time for the Selectmen's Update. This is for the meeting that happened on Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. We had a very full meeting. We started with a one-day liquor license for St. Cecilia's for an event they're having on March 25th, a Friends Breakfast with the Knights of Columbus. We then heard from the auditors who came in, Melanson and Heath, who did the audit for the financial statements for 2016, so fiscal year 2016, which runs from August 1st, 2015 to June 31st of 2016. They found that our books and our taxes and our financial health is very strong. They looked at our accounting practices and how we're working within our departments for procurement, as well as receipts and handling of money. They had some suggestions that we will be looking through and reviewing, and Brittany Iacopone, who is our finance director, is looking at these things and working with the various departments to make sure that what is going on and the suggestions are being used. If you want to see a full version of the report, you can go ahead and watch the Selectmen's meeting. From there, we went to a capital plan presentation from the Collins Center. The Collins Center was hired via grant money through our community compact program that was done through the state, and they came in and looked at all our capital items. They looked at our policies, they looked at our procedures, they looked at how we had been doing things. They worked with town management as well as various department heads, and they are working on creating a policy to adjust based on suggestions that we get from the Collins Center. So as a board, we will look at what their suggestions are, how we look at financing things. We will look at the grading policy that they use to determine what items were put on our 5-year plan, what items might have been put off that will have to get added in the later years. But from the work that they did, we do now have a 5-year capital plan as to what we should spend and when, and that will be made available to the public. We also have the report from the Collins Center as to what they found, and that will be available as well. And then moving forward, we determine how are we going to move forward with this process. Do we maintain it just with the town manager and departments, or do we actually have a community committee that would support that? And there's different versions as to what people think. There are some information in our bylaws that we're reviewing currently. We then did our very quick consent agenda. We approved some minutes. We accepted some donations. We appointed Dan Shea to the Affordable Housing Trust, so that trust is now at 3 members. They are still looking for more if you're interested in affordable housing and would like to help out there. We then announced the slight change to the submission date for our BAA grant program. So you now have until March 15th to submit for the BAA grant program, and then the grants will be dispersed either at the end of March, because we might add a meeting, or our first meeting in April. We then did some housekeeping for the conveyance of land for 466 Chestnut Street. That is the property around the house at 22 Elliott. The 22 Elliott was already accepted, and now the open space around it is available and has been accepted. From there, we had some good discussion and debate about our new banner program. So this is a program that we've been talking about for a number of years as a way to bring visibility and promote Ashland and the great events that are going on here. Beth Reynolds, our Economic Development Director, and Steve Mitchell, one of our selectmen, and Joe Mignani talked about a policy. They're going to be making some changes to that, but we did vote to approve the policy, and we did vote some money from our selectmen gift account to start the banner process. So the goal is to have some Ashland banners up on poles before the Boston Marathon, which happens on April 17th. We then went into the town manager's report, and we talked about the Cadillac paint. We had voted some money at the November town meeting to do some work there. And what was nice was they found that the soil under the buildings was cleaner than expected, which means we can move forward with certain things and not have to worry as much about remediation of the contaminated soil. We looked at the curbside textile recycling program. This is a new program that'll be coming at no cost to the town. You'll be receiving a mailer and new bags to be able to put your textiles. So clothing that maybe you don't want to donate to Salvation Army or other organizations because it's not as clean, that you might donate to just rags, but you don't know how to get it there, you can go ahead and put it in these bags, and you'll be receiving more information about that. And when we have the bags, we'll probably talk a lot about it a little bit further on this show. We got an update from the Corner Spot, and we'll be showing you some of that on our Around the Town tour. We talked and got an update of the Human Services and Community Program. What's going on there? We're discussing consolidation of some of our youth and family services to better serve the public. We had a town meeting update. We have 10 notices of intent. The MWRA connection, a road acceptance. We're looking at possible updating our noise bylaw, our sign bylaw, as well as some speed bylaws. So be on the lookout for those as we work on them and prepare them for town meeting. We talked a little bit about an RFQ for the downtown redevelopment. Again, this was some money that was put in at the November special town meeting to look at some parking and how we can redevelop downtown to make it a place that more people want to go to. That ties perfectly into the Corner Spot that's happening. And then we talked about a public safety building RFQ to get some consultants to help look at some property so that hopefully for the fall town meeting, we can move forward with the purchase of a piece of property to build a new public safety building, something that this town has been talking about probably for over 10 or 15 years. And that was our meeting. It was long, a lot of information. If you want more of the details that happened, you can watch the tape of the Selectmen meeting, and you can get the materials online. And that's it for this Selectmen's update. Welcome back to Around the Clock. I'm here with Joe White of Ashland Community Theater. Joe, welcome back to Around the Clock.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thanks for having me back.
We are here to talk about your upcoming spring show called 2 Acts of Murder. Yeah. Where are you at in the process?
We are in the midst of our audition process. We've held 2 or 3 auditions so far here at WACA-TV studios, and we have 1 more to go. And we have a record 40 actors coming out for this this show, and this is an amazing amount of people coming in. The talent there is amazing. I get overwhelmed. I'm actually overwhelmed by making choices on how to cast it. It's just wonderful to have so many different people.
So 40 people auditioning, how many roles are you looking to fill?
In our first act, that's called The Connection, there are 6 actors in that, 3 male, 3 female. The second act is called The 39 Steps, a live radio play. You can have as many as 23 different roles in there, but we're not going to have 23 people on the stage. But I think Julie, who's directing it, is probably going to go with 7 or 8 different actors. Okay.
So you mentioned Julie, so you have 2 directors. Who are the 2 directors?
Well, I'm going to take a crack at directing the first thing called The Connection, and with Julie Murphy doing the second one, and she's the one that directed one of our scenes in Plaza Suite and a couple of our dinner conversation shows last year. So she's been back.
And this is what, her 3rd show with the
This will be our 3rd performance, yeah. Plaza Suite and dinner conversations we did last year with her.
Great. So any thoughts? First of all, when is the performance going to be happening?
It'll be June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's a Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Mm-hmm. It's right after the weekend of Memorial Day. So when everyone's coming back and before school ends, so people will still be in town. and we're looking forward to that.
Okay. You said you're taking a slightly different role. You're directing.
Yeah.
What's that like, or what's your thought process with going into that?
Well, I think, this is our 7th show that we're doing. And I've worked with some really good directors from the beginning all the way through, and not that by any means it's easy. I admire all the work and effort that they put into it. But I've been on stage for all of the other ones, and it's been fun, and I like it, I love it. But I wanted to try something a little different, so I'm going to go behind the stage here this time and give it a crack. There's a lot of a different perspective. You got to coach and talk to everybody in the scene more than just focusing on your own words and dialogue and interacting with actors on stage. You have to worry about a lot of different things that I didn't think you had to worry about when you're just on stage acting. So I give all those directors out there great kudos. Julie's helping me along the way. She's kind of mentoring me along the way. And Chris Erith as well, who's directed us, and who will be, hopefully he's auditioning for this tomorrow, so maybe he could be in our show in June as well.
Good. Well, thanks for coming to Around the Clock. We'll bring you back as it gets a little bit closer so you can tell us a little bit more about the show and how the process is going. So when is your last day of auditions?
It's actually tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're going to be done, and hopefully by next week, it's early March, we'll have announced the cast.
Great.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming back to Around the Clock, Joe. Good luck with your new role as a director, and we look forward to seeing 2 Acts of Murder.
Thank you very much, Yolanda.
We'll be back with more Around the Clock. It's time for our Around the Town tour. We have one stop today, and it is at 6 Cherry Street. There used to be a house sitting there, and that house was recently taken down, and we were able to get footage. It was very interesting to watch the bulldozer go in and how they took it apart bit by bit. If you drove by there on the morning that it happened and then drove by in the afternoon, there was not much left of what was for that house. Now, the house was taken down to make way for the Corner Spot, which is an initiative that we've spoken about here on the show before, but let me refresh your memory. The Corner Spot is a place for pop-up marketing, which means that a business can go in anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks and put their business in downtown Ashland to see how it will work. There are still applications being accepted. You can go to the Ashland, Mass website to apply to be at the Corner Spot. It can be food, it can be artisans, it can be any kind of business that you want to try from that location. There will be a park there for people to sit and relax and spend time. And the goal is to have it up and running by the beginning of June. So they are working on the next step of the development, which is the designs being finalized and getting the bids in to actually do the construction for the Corner Spot, which will be a building and a playground and places to sit and patio and beautiful landscaping. So that's it. It was cool standing there watching the house come down, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. So as we close out this segment about our Around the Town tour, let's take one last look of how quickly, or it seems quickly, that the house came down at the corner of Cherry Street. Our around-the-clock arts update this week is about the Boston Ballet. We sent our own Christiana Greaves in to see Artifacts with Todd Carter to get some footage and talk about the show. If you didn't get to see it, was great footage. It seemed like a beautiful ballet. You do have 4 more opportunities to see the Boston Ballet perform this season, and the next opportunity will be between March 23rd and April 2nd.
We are back at the Boston Opera House to see Boston Ballet's Artifact, which is choreographed by William Forsythe. What's really interesting about this performance is that there is not only music, but there is also spoken word and sounds made by the dancers themselves. Another really cool fact about this performance is that it's the North American premiere of William Forsythe's Artifact, which means that Boston Ballet is the first North American company to perform Artifact in full. I am really excited to see this, and I hope you come out and support Boston Ballet and support everything that these amazing artists are doing. The ballet was so much fun. All of the different aspects of it, the music, the spoken word, the different noises and sounds that the dancers make were so interesting. I hope you come out and see it. It runs February 23rd to March 5th. And if you want more information or to buy tickets, you can go online to bostonballet.org.
Here at Around the Clock, we share the news and events that are going on here in Ashland. We share the good, we share the bad, and unfortunately for this episode, we have a tragic story to share and talk about. Here in Ashland, we just lost a sophomore from our Ashland High School, Brendan Petrie. Our thoughts from Around the Clock and from WACA-TV go out to Brendan's family and friends. But as always here in Ashland, there's that positive side, and that is that the people in Ashland, from Jim Adams at our high school and Principal Kelly St. Cyr, and members of the community like Betsy Emberly and others, stepped up to support the students at the Ashland High School and other people here in Ashland. A loss is always difficult, but in Ashland, we take those losses and we show the community that we are, a community who cares for each other, a community who supports each other. So again, our thoughts and prayers go to Brendan's family, but we want to celebrate and thank those of you that have stepped up to help support the students that are affected by this and the families that are affected by this. Thank you, and thank you for being part of our WACA Around the Clock family. Well, thanks for watching this episode of Around the Clock. I always enjoy bringing you the stories and events that are going on here in Ashland. A big thank you to Joe White for talking to us about Ashland Community Theater. Thanks to Christiana for heading into Boston to give us that story about the Boston Ballet. As always, if you'd like to share your story with Around the Clock, please reach out to us here at WACA-TV. We look forward to sharing more of the news of Ashland with all of you.